Profit only on NDTV Profit, and this is your host Malika Mishra.
And I'm your host Himakshi Bahugna, and together we'll be taking up all your stock related queries. So don't forget to WhatsApp us or call us directly. The numbers are there flashing on your screens right now, viewers. And on the show we are joined by Dinesh Sane, Senior Research Analyst, Invest for Edu on the fundamentals. And our technical guest will be joining us shortly. Welcome to the show.
Thank you
Dinesh,
so much for having me on your
now
show.
let's get started with the first query. So Keshav from Coimbatore wants to enter Tata Motors, and he hasn't mentioned the time horizon. So Dinesh, I'd like you to shed some light on Tata Motors, and is it advisable for any investor to invest in this counter at this particular time?
All right. So first, background. Recently, I think JLR has given an outlook for FY26, which is not looking very positive overall. So what I would suggest, so also on passenger vehicle front, so we are seeing that some of the players are doing good, some of the players are not doing good, and based on the month-on-month numbers. So I would suggest that one should wait for accumulating the Tata Motors. I think at least maybe 1 to 2 monthly updates they should watch based on that. And if overall EV segment is growing and the exports are also growing, maybe they can think. So I would suggest not to do it as of now. Maybe wait for at least 1 to 2 quarters. And if they really want to add in their portfolio, maybe they can start by accumulating a 5 to 10% of overall accumulation. So.
All right, thank you so much for that. And with that, Sarvendra Srivastav has also joined us. He's a market strategist at 5 Waves Official. Welcome to the show, Sarvendra.
Very good evening to all of you.
Good evening. We were discussing about Tata Motors, and Dinesh has said that, for somebody who wants to invest in this counter should be waiting for, 2 quarters at least. So I would just like your view also on the same, and what are the charts suggesting, Sarvendra?
See, it's very few times that fundamentals and technicals converge. So I think I will be in agreement in the sense that I also think that at least, around 3 to 4 months at least, I think there could be some pressure on the stock, and you could see possibly lower levels. So you will get a good deal. The stock is good, the quality is good, but I think you can get a better deal. And I think around 620, 630, that's a good area to start accumulating slowly. So if at all that number is coming, I think if someone wants to invest, you can start a slow accumulation, a SIP kind of a thing. Starting point would be 620. Yeah.
And now we have another WhatsApp query. Sapna has written to us from Hyderabad, and she currently holds 100 shares of Premier Energies at 1,055 rupees a piece and is seeking a long-term advice on this particular holding. So Premier Energies is trading around 968 and was down over 3% in trade today itself, and also has a high P ratio. Valuation multiples look a little expensive as compared to the other peers. But speaking of the larger trend, alongside some other counters in the energy space, Premier Energies also dipped. So therefore, Dinesh, I'd like to get your sense on whether this is the kind of investor sentiment in the entire energy space itself, or there's something particularly not good or optimistic about Premier Energies.
So if I talk about numbers first of Premier Energy, I think they're doing pretty good. In last 3 years, the top line is way too good. I think from hardly 1,500 crores in March 23, they have crossed, in fact, 6,500 crores. Plus their margins are also increasing. If I talk about this recent quarter numbers also, margins has jumped from hardly 16% to 33%. In fact, from December quarter itself, 30% was the margin. Now it's 33. So I think these guys are doing pretty well. And only I think the issue I think investors can be facing is the increasing debt. But I think that is okay since the numbers are growing, earnings is growing. I don't see it as an issue. If I talk about the valuations, that depends. The valuation is very subjective matter. So I think some people want to give 50 times, some people don't want to give it 60 times. So based on my understanding, if someone is holding they can keep on holding. I don't see it as a problem for that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And just a quick reminder for our viewers who are watching us right now. Viewers, on this show, we actually cater to all your stock related queries. And this is a very golden opportunity for you all. So, you just have to pick up your phones, call us, and the numbers are there on your screens. And with that, we are joined by a caller from Noida. Hi, Amol. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, how can I help you on the show today, Amol?
Actually, I bought 300 shares of GSFC at 196 rupees. And I just want to know, is it a good bet to play for the upcoming monsoon season? And what is the correct level to average if someone wants to average it for that?
Understood. And for how long are you planning to hold this counter, Amol?
At least up to July, August, because I want to play the monsoon
Okay, so just like a 2-month picture. All right. So Sarvendra, without wasting much time, I'd come to you. Gujarat State Fertilizers and Chemicals. If we talk about today, the stock was down nearly 3% and it's currently trading at 193. So what's your sense on this counter? And are you optimistic from monsoon perspective if somebody is willing to invest in this counter, keeping that in mind?
For that trade, he might have his own logic. But when you are looking at a 2-month, you immediately going into a short-term kind of a setup. As far as we are concerned, our short-term is 0 to 3 months, which probably for traders nowadays is long-term. So my short-term starts between 0 to 3 months, and medium-term you will say 6 to 9 months, and long-term you will say 12-month plus. That's how I look at setups. So within that short-term setup that he's looking at, he's at the fag end of a risk-reward, which means the 220 highs that we put, I think 220, 230 would be a cap going forward till we don't break past 230 decisively. I think 230 for me over the next 1 to 2 months would be a cap here. The stock is already losing momentum as we see in the last week and today as well, and you're starting to trade with below the long-term markers. So that's not a good short-term signature. The stock is trading below all long-term, short-term, medium-term average marker levels. So till you don't regain even maybe a short-term setup itself, maybe a psychological mark of 200, till you're not doing that, I don't see it as a momentum play. And for me, short-term trades are all momentum plays. So I would advise him to exit, in fact, and possibly try and look at lower levels around 170, 175, where the risk rewards will be slightly better.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarvendra, for that detailed, insight on this counter. And Dinesh, I'd also like to get your fundamental view on this counter for somebody who's a fresh investor and who's looking at this counter for an investment point of view. Let's say, keeping a long-term view in mind. So, what's your sense?
As a strategy, we follow bottom-up overall strategies. So these kind of companies we clearly, so you can say, ignore from our watch list, because the main reason I'll talk about is that we want some base, we want some growth in earnings growth plus top line and margins growth. So this is very fluctuating. So, and based on that, overall valuations keep on fluctuating and multiples keep on changing. So we don't really advise our clients to enter such counters. So in fact, I'll stick to that view map. So maybe they can, if they are holding, they can sell it. Maybe they can consider something else for medium term or long term.
All right. Okay. And now we have Swapna on the phone line from Hyderabad. Hi, Swapna. Good evening. Swapna? Okay. I'm afraid I can't hear you properly. Swapna, could you please reduce the volume of your television? Okay, never mind. I have Swapna's query and I'll take that query. Swapna from Hyderabad again. I think she's the same person who we took WhatsApp query of, and she attempted calling us as well. So she currently holds 100 shares of IGIL, which is International Gemological Institute, at 383 rupees a piece, and is seeking a 6-month advice on this. The stock is trading around 347, and due to the lack of enough technical information on this, I will take this question to you, Dinesh, first. How does the business of International Gemological Institute at the moment look like? Because it seems to be one of the biggest players in the space that it hails from. So give us your sense.
Honestly, even I am not tracking this particular counter. In fact, I really don't know what exactly the business is, so I won't be able to comment on that. Sorry.
That's not an issue. Sarvendra, will you be able to tell us something?
See, very, very limited data there, and possibly only, I think, only last 5-6 months is what I can see. Within that, I would say that the stock is consolidating between 300 to 400 going forward over the last couple of months. So that broadly should be a trading range. And right now, you're just at the middle of that range, 350 approximate. So 300 to 400 is a range. If you want to look at it, 300 is a price to look at, where you might look at some long side trades in the short term, because long term, medium term is not possible on this particular stock.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarvendra, for that. With that, we are joined by Shiv Kumar on the phone line from Bengaluru. Hi, Shiv Kumar. Good evening. Shiv Kumar, are you there on the phone line? I think we've lost the line there, but we have Shiv Kumar's query with us. He holds 30 shares of ICICI Bank at 373 rupees, and he is sitting on a profit of over 31,000. He's looking for a long-term outlook on the counter. So Dinesh, coming straight to you, talking about the banking space in particular, it's been doing pretty well, but talking about your top picks from this particular space, and are you optimistic about ICICI Bank in particular?
So I always suggest our clients to stick to these large private banks, of course. So one of the recommendations which we always provide is ICICI Bank. So of course, I would suggest the person to keep on holding the stock, maybe for longer term, maybe for 5 years or so. So the only thing is that, of course, we know that valuations keep on fluctuating, but we should know that if the India wants to grow, like in next 5 years, we will be expecting $7 trillion of GDP. And I know that without these large private banks, the push which we are expecting may not be possible. So, of course, these would be very much beneficial. The ICICI Bank, large private bank, of course. So, he can keep on holding, and the larger the view horizon, the better it is.
Okay, all right. And now we have Sanjeev calling us from Chennai. Hi, Sanjeev. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Sanjeev.
Regarding
How can we
Biocon,
help you? Yeah.
Regarding Biocon.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm holding for a very long period. I don't know if it is moving up, but again, it is whether it will keep its momentum or I should sell it and then re-enter at a lower level.
Sanjeev, how long has it been since you bought these shares of Biocon?
It's almost 9 months.
9 months. Okay, understood. Dinesh, I'll first take this question to you. Sanjeev from Chennai holds 170 shares of Biocon at 320 rupees a piece. The stock is trading around 349 and was up about 1.9% in trade today, just a bit over that. Now, Biocon, the stock itself has been somewhat under pressure after its 4,500 crore rupees QIP. And there was this HSBC note that was doing the rounds today, where it predicts that because of this QIP, there could be some kind of cut on its EPS. But however, it has maintained a buy rating on the stock. I'd like to ask you, because it has seen so much pressure and a roller coaster ride in the past couple of months, how does the future outlook from now on looks like? Because especially after the QIP was raised to reduce the debt of the company.
I think it is very good. So QIP, if it is coming, of course, the EPS will be impacted. And we are also knowing that because of this amount, some debt would be reduced. If I talk about this recent quarter numbers, of course, they are doing pretty good, actually, in terms of year on year, in terms of quarter on quarter. So I don't see it as a problem. And in fact, the debt is getting reduced. And if the margins of 24%, 24% is intact, it is likely that their overall profit can be also increased. But of course, since the QIP is there, the number of outstanding shares would be increasing. So hence the EPS would be higher. So I think that is okay. Overall, the development is good. The fundamentals are intact. So I would suggest keep on holding that.
Okay, okay. Um, Also, Sarvendra, I'd like to take your view on the stock price per se of Biocon. It is currently trading around 349, right? And HSBC has, while it does maintain a buy rating, it has reduced the target price on Biocon from 400 to 390. Now, while that indicates a limited upside, do you think it also adds as a reason for a viewer to not enter or enter into Biocon? What's your suggestion?
It was 390 or 319. What have they done on the price?
390. 400 to 390 is the revised target price.
Yeah, so that's very symbolic. That's very symbolic. Nothing much to read on that report in that sense. I would say that within a 6 to 9 month perspective, you are trading the upper end of the risk reward for this stock. So I don't see it climbing and clearing 400 decisively over the next at least 5 to 6 months at least. So in that case, you're already at around 350, so not much headroom. So that much I can agree. 393, 400, that those areas are definitely a tough hurdle for this one. And on the downside, I have my markers at around 250. So right now, currently also the risk reward is 1:2 negative, in the sense that if you are looking at 350, you're looking at 400, which is around a 50-point upside. But the risk on the downside to me looks like 250. For the next 6-9 months, you could possibly slowly drift towards, if not completely towards those numbers, but at least close to those numbers. So I would say it's a sell on bounce. It's a sell on rise stock right now. I would put a sell, not a buy.
Right. And Sarvendra, is this also because of the fact that since June of 2024, the stock price or the wave per se has been really volatile? If you look at the way the stock price was behaving before that period, you could say it was towards somehow gradually, accelerating in that sense. But now from June 2024, it does not really give a clear picture. So hence, is that sell rating because of this as well?
See, I look at very longer term charts. So when I'm looking at what happened in 2022, the stock started to the correction gained momentum the moment you broke 400, and that's 2022. So it's now 3 years. It's around 3 years that the stock is unable to go past 400. So for me, technically, the stock will only get re-rated around once you break past that number. And I would say anybody who wants to take a strategy on the sell side, try and go as close to 400 if you are selling it, and then keep a stop loss at 410. So none of our calls are without any risk management. So you have to have your stop losses there. 410 on a closing basis will be the stop loss if you are attempting to short this one close to 400.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sarvendra, for that. Now we are joined by Sebastian on the phone line from Kochi. Hi, Sebastian. Good evening. Sebastian, are you there on the phone line?
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead with your query.
Pardon?
Please go ahead with your query, Sebastian.
Yeah, I purchased the Credit Grameen Bank.
Okay.
CreditAccess Grameen for rupees 1,371 rupees.
Understood.
100 numbers last year.
Yeah.
What I have to hold or what to do?
Are you a long-term investor, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for how long are you planning to hold?
1 year again.
1 year. Okay, understood. So, Dinesh, talking about CreditAccess Grameen, the stock recently rallied after securing this $100 million loan facility, and it's certainly a positive for the company. But how do you view it, fundamentally affecting the counter, and what suggestion do you have for a caller who is incurring a loss of almost 25,000 currently with this particular investment?
Very volatile, actually, to be very honest. I know that they have received a recent fundraise. So I think based on the numbers purely, it is very volatile, honestly. So I think investors keep on fluctuating based on what should be the valuation which they should give. So hence, I think I would be very cautious in this counter. There are some different NBFCs and banks which they can consider. But given that it's way too volatile and it will be a roller coaster ride for him, maybe I would suggest him to look for another opportunity for maybe for 1 to 2 years.
Like you said that there are other options in the NBFC space. So if you would, recommend 2 to 3 stocks there.
I always prefer Bajaj wins.
Okay, understood. And Sarvendra, I'd also like to come to you on this one. Firstly, how do you view CreditAccess Grameen on the charts? And secondly, in the NBFC space, what are your top picks there?
See, these are high beta names, and no, I would say that you need to know your risk profile. You have to be slightly on the higher risk-taking ability or profile if you're doing all these names, and even your financial the smaller names and NBFCs you are trying to do. You have to, because the liquidity is definitely a concern in many names here in terms of the number of stocks that trade daily. So not everybody's cup of tea. Firstly. Secondly, with the current setup and the current placement of the market and the way Bank Nifty is behaving right now, I think financials could be under pressure going forward over the next 1-3 months. So I think I would avoid this space completely as of now. So I would pass the recommendation bit. But I would also caution here that to me, Bank Nifty looks a little toppish, and my sense is that you could slip around 2,000, 2,500 points of the Bank Nifty. So it's anybody's guess. I think the short-term bias is slightly negative here.
All right. And now we have Murli calling us from Bengaluru. Hi, Murli. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for taking my query.
Most welcome.
My wishes to panelists also. My
Thank you
query
so
is
much.
Fundamental is honest.
Okay.
I bought Venus Pipes, 600 shares.
Okay.
I did some homework and bought 600 shares recently at the rate of 1,389.27. From my personal view, it seems to be an exciting prospects for the company, but I would like to know from the experts
Sure.
whether I should hold. I am a long-term investor, willing to wait for 1 or 2 years. But I expect at least 20% return from 1 year from now. What is the view of the experts, especially fundamental analysts?
Okay, sure. Dinesh, our viewer Murli from Bengaluru holds 600 shares of Venus Pipes and Tubes at 1,389.27. The stock is trading around 1,346. And he wants to make 20% returns at least in the next 1 year from this. Do you think it would go back to its 52-week high in the next 1 year or so? Because it had a very attractive level, 52-week high level, because the stock has been consolidating for quite a couple of months now.
That is very difficult to answer, honestly. But I can only comment on the numbers, how exactly it is. So, see, I think based on margins, I think these guys are clearly having an issue. It is volatile. Sometimes they are doing 20%, sometimes they are 18. Now it is 16. So for last 2 quarters, they are stuck with 16%, which was almost 18% in 24 and 17%. So I think by 1.5%, the margins are getting impacted. But if I talk about the overall earnings growth, it is decent. Only the issue I can see is margins. Plus, they are also increasing that, not higher, but gradually increasing their debt part as well. So it is very difficult to say that the high of 2,450 is possible or not. But I would be very cautious, a bit cautious. Maybe it is possible for a medium-term growth, but I would say that be very cautious in this. And of course, they can look for another opportunities.
Thank you for that. We are joined by a caller from Mumbai. Hi, Homi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Am I
my
pronouncing
query-
your name correctly?
Yeah, Homi.
Yeah, Homi. Yes, very unique name, I must say. Please go ahead with
madam,
your query.
It's a very old Parsi name. Most of the Parsis have this type of a name.
Okay. Yeah,
See, I
please.
had bought GSW Energy,
Yeah.
and it was bought in the 503
Understood.
rate, 1,000 shares. But today I saw it has gone down a lot.
Yeah.
What was the reason like, and what is the future of energy stocks?
Okay, so JSW Energy is the counter and you're looking for a short-term outlook on it. Am I correct?
Yeah.
How long are you
short-term,
planning
3
to
months.
hold?
3 months is okay for me.
3 months,
Yeah.
understood. Because I can see that you are incurring a loss of over
Yes.
25,000. And when
Yes,
did you
yes.
purchase it?
I think yesterday.
Okay. Oh, okay. In just one
yesterday,
day.
yeah.
Oh, understood.
Bad luck. Yeah.
The Sarvendra, if we talk about JSW Energy and Homi is sitting on a loss of over 25,000 in just one day. So are you seeing any sort of bounce back in the counter on the charts so that it can surpass the 506 levels?
See, I'm afraid short term, I don't have good news for him. Today's breakdown also seems to be slightly on higher volumes. So volumes have been higher than the 5-day, 10-day averages today. So I would still love to see what happened on the Bao copy, what kind of deliveries went through. I don't have that data right now, but short term, I think definitely the signatures are slightly weak. I would assume that you might test lower levels at around 450, 440 also going forward. But around those areas, I think it has found support earlier as well. So I think 440, 450, that's a price area where needs to be alert. And if we hold that number, then yes, the pain in short term could be over. If you were to break 440, then possibly you've more headroom on the downside. So I would tell him to now wait out since today is already a knee-jerk reaction. So just wait out and see how it behaves around that 440, 450 area.
All right. And Dinesh, a quick, outlook on JSW Energy, if you're having any, because, for somebody who is sitting on that loss, so how can he be narrowing it down? What sort of advice can you give to a caller there?
It will take time, of course, because they have some under construction and pipeline projects lined up. If I talk about, they have 11.3 gigawatts of under construction project, which is, I think, fully tied up for long-term PPAs. And they have also a good pipeline, but it will take time for, if I talk about the recent quarters numbers, the margins were impacted. Only thing I can say is that they really have to wait for 2 to 3 years at least, and for every quarter they should keep on tracking what exactly the management is saying based on the pipelines and projects. So this is the only way, but it will be very difficult for creation of wealth, maybe in near term. For long term, whatever I have advised, they should follow.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Dinesh. And with that, viewers, we'll have to slip into a short break, but please keep sending in your queries on WhatsApp and call in. We'll be right back for Ask Profit. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.
Sources in ED seeking explanation on Yuvraj Singh, Harbhajan Singh on why they are endorsing such platforms which are banned by Government of India, and the mule account and Benami transaction, the kind of promotional payout being given to some of the media houses, the ad rates are between 50 crore to 100 crore.
What happens in reality is that under the garb of skill-based game, they end up promoting gambling only.
27,000 crore is what the tax evasion, the top popular betting apps are actually evading. Between January and March alone, they have seen 1.6 billion of traction.
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost, last year for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so elated to be on the same screen as the Defense Secretary, and I get a chance to talk about what he said.
In certain areas, like for example, artillery guns and armored vehicles, or in some categories of missiles like the BrahMos and the Akash, we've come of age.
What Defense Secretary Sir said is 100%.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching Ask Profit only on NDTV Profit, a show that gets all your stock-related queries answered. So if you want to get your stock-related query answered, then you just have to call us on the numbers flashing on your screen. You can also write to us on WhatsApp. Both the numbers are available, but we do urge you to make use of this opportunity and call us live so that we can give you the best investment advice. We are being joined by Dinesh Sane on the fundamentals and Sarvendra Srivastava on the technicals. So please pick up your phone and make our phone lines busy. We have Mansingh, who's already waiting for us on the phone line from Kurnool. Hi Mansingh, good evening.
Hi ma'am, very good evening.
Good evening.
I want to stay invested in power transmission sector. I choose two companies, madam. That is Transrail Lighting and Kalpataru projects. Kalpataru projects order book nearly 65,000 crore, madam.
Okay.
Whereas Transrail Lighting is 14,000 plus, 14,000 crore plus order, madam. I want to stay invested for 3 to 5 years, madam. Which counter should I stay invested, or should I choose both? And technically, which is currently available in cheaper valuation?
Okay, all right. So basically, Mansingh from Kurnool wants to know which one to go for. He wants to either invest in Kalpataru projects or Transrail Lighting, and he's also asked which of the two valuations look a bit cheaper at this given point of time. So Dinesh, I'd like to come to you on this. How does Kalpataru and Transrail look like to you, and which one would you suggest Mansingh to go ahead and invest in?
I don't track it directly, but I recently had a word with my colleague regarding Transrail Lightning. I think my colleague is bullish on this counter for 3 to 5 years, because I think he mentioned that the order book is very strong and the management has guided for a good margins growth as well. So what I would suggest is, based on clearly what my understanding with my colleague. So I think Transrail is what I would suggest, since he's overall covering this segment, and since overall our view is bottom up, and based on that we must have seen some parameters and understood that there are some parameters which can push the stock forward, and EPS should be there in next 2 to 3 years. Hence I would suggest that for bit of 50 to 60% of right now they can start accumulating, and in case they want to study the different company as well, which other one mentioned, they can also add in the company based on their understanding. So for me, I think Transrail would be a better play.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now let's go across to a caller joining us from Bengaluru. Hi Rahul, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I have my query about Power Finance Bank, Power Finance Corporation.
Yeah.
So I have around 300 shares at 450 apiece. And I want to know what to do with it, wait it out, accumulate more now, or what is the...
And when did you purchase these shares?
This was 2 years ago.
2 years. And I can see that you are sitting on a loss of nearly 18,000 rupees.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Okay. And for how long are you planning to hold, if at all?
Then I want to see if there's an upside, should I buy more and make up the losses?
Okay. So Dinesh, coming straight to you, because Rahul has been invested, in this counter for like 2 years now, and currently he is sitting on a loss of nearly 18,000 there. So is it the right time to accumulate more so that he can narrow down his losses, or what sort of advice are you, willing to give him, talking about keeping the fundamentals of the company also in mind?
I think it is very difficult to make wealth in these counters because maybe near term, because of some XYZ reasons like orders and etc. I think they can have some push for liquidity push, you can say. But I would say, see, why I'm saying is that because of I think I can see not even 1 to 1.2 of price to book value it is seen. So only from October 23 it has increased. So point before that, over the last 10 years, the company used to get hardly 0.8 to 1 of price to book value, and recently after 23 it has received more than 2 of price to book value. Now it has stagnant from 1.2 to 1%, one times. So I think it is very difficult to make some bets, long-term bets in these counters. So I would suggest maybe switch to different counters, and if they really want to hold it, maybe they can reduce the exposure for now.
Right. Thank you so much. And Sarvendra, I'd also like to come to you and, just know that what you make of PFC when you look at the charts also. And do you find it an attractive bet?
See, looking at the medium and long-term charts, I think the news is not good for him in the sense that this could be a long-term distribution which has happened, since he is himself saying that for the last 1.5 to 2 years he's not been able to make money. He might have gone slightly close to the top, I think, and that is where he bought. But my sense is that for a brief period he might have been making some 100 odd bucks. I think 550, 560, those were the areas that the stock had gone. So I think, in fact, 570, 575 is what I can see. So if he had bought 2 years back, he was in decent profits. I think he's reacting pretty late here. And I'm afraid even right now he's come slightly 1 week late. I think we were close to that 440 mark last week. I would tell him to exit on a bounce close to his cost for the time being, because if it's a long-term head and shoulder distribution pattern, then the pain possibly could last another 6 to 9 months, and you could see lower levels in the region of around 310, 320 also. That risk is still there till the time it does not go beyond that 440 mark. And near the 440 mark is also its long-term 200-day marker. So I think you have to do some repair work before a fresh leg up can happen. This is a long-term distribution, so more pain possibly left. Sell on a bounce is what I would suggest to him.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Sarvendra. And now we have Mahesh joining us on the phone line from Chennai. Hi, Mahesh. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, madam.
Good evening. How can we help you? Which stock do you hold and how many shares?
Yeah, I'm holding Reliance Power.
Okay.
250 numbers at the rate of 69 rupees.
Okay.
But the stock is, last 1 week it is coming down.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to add more, but at what level I can add?
Okay.
And what would be the short-term target?
All right. All right. I'll just confirm once more the number of shares you hold. Do you hold 250 shares at 69 rupees a piece?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Sarvendra, I'd like to come to you on Reliance Power. Reliance Power has clocked a massive run-up and has seen returns of about 48% in the past 1 month itself. And it in fact was also it is also under the short-term ASM framework because of the volatility that the stock has experienced. And maybe due to a lot of profit booking, the stock has seen some kind of decline recently. Would you go ahead and suggest, Mahesh, to buy more shares at this given juncture, or would you have a cautious approach?
Well, the very fact that the stock is in some kind of a surveillance mechanism is definitely the exchanges are seeing something which is not possibly maybe visible to the naked eye. I think there's definitely something suspect here as far as the setups are concerned, because initially it was going limit up and then limit down, and finally it broke out of that 50-52 congestion area. So I think the risk definitely from where we broke out around 52, 53 levels, I think that much risk on the downside still could still be open. So whatever is held, I think you should just keep holding that, not add. And it is definitely not an add here. And I usually would avoid such stocks in my recommendations.
Okay. Thank you so much for that view, Sarvendra. With that, we are joined by Devraju from Mysuru on the phone line. Hi, Devraju. Good evening. Good evening, Devraju. Can you please go ahead with your query? There is some glitch in the audio line there, Devraju. I'm having his query there. So he holds 95 shares of KPIT Tech at 1,360 a piece. He's looking for a short-term view on the counter, Sarvendra. Without wasting much time, what are the key resistance and support levels that you are seeing on the charts, and what suggestion do you have for Mr. Devraju there?
See, I think around 1410 is what I would see as immediate levels. If you were to clear 1410, then yes, within the short term, there would definitely be upside potential for another 90 to 100 basis points. So around 1500 is what I can see, provided we go past 1410. So that would be an extreme short-term picture for him. And on the downside, I could see supports in the region of around 1330, which are the short to medium term average markers.
All right, thank you for that. And now we have Setu calling us from Bengaluru. Hi, Setu. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah. Madam, my inquiries on SBI today, and that is 131 shares at the rate of 810 I'm holding. So I want to know whether I could add more. I can hold for a longer term. I'd like to know whether I could add more as it is on a little dip now.
Okay, all right. Dinesh, Setu from Bengaluru holds 131 shares of the State Bank of India at 810 rupees a piece. The stock has dropped significantly from that level at least and is now trading around 785, and it was 1/8% down in trade today also. Would you suggest Setu to continue holding this stock and also add more because he is a long-term investor?
So these kind of companies actually we use in our portfolios to cushion the overall the portfolio. So for creating a wealth, I think it would be difficult. Yes, of course. So the thing is ki, in PSU banks, we prefer hardly 2 to 3 banks. So one of the first top priority for us is SBI. So I think for overall portfolio, if he wants stability, I think that is okay. He can keep on holding, but that will depend how exactly. So as I mentioned that since we want to grow in next 5 years till a $7 trillion economy, SBI would also play a very large role in that. So yes, for considering this, he can clearly hold the stock for at least 3 to 5 years.
Right. And Dinesh, I'd actually like to also know what are the other names then in the PSU banking space that you would perhaps suggest from the point of view of making money? Because a couple of days I was on the same show, I had asked the same kind of question, and the expert said that some stocks, like you said, are to provide cushion to the portfolio because they also sort of provide legroom for margin of safety. But if somebody has to just enter to make money, then are there some pockets that you're seeing?
I can only name Can Bank for now, Canara Bank for maybe that. Of course, again, I'm saying that it will be for a longer term perspective. Investors should give it at least 3 to 5 years. So these two names, SBI and Can Bank, is all I can say for now.
All right. Thank you so much, Dinesh. So Canara Bank and SBI is top pick by Dinesh from the PSU banking space. Now let's go across to a caller joining us from Chennai. Hi, Gopal. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening, madam.
Yes. How can I help you today?
I had the 100 Tata Consumer.
Okay.
Bought at 1,130.
1,130.
So. Yes,
understood.
Shall I add? It's for past few months it is going down.
Yeah.
So shall I add or shall I hold or sell it?
Mr. Gopal, for how long are you planning to hold these shares?
3 months, 2 months.
Okay, so a short-term view on the counter.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, Sarvendra, the stock has been slipping for the past, 10 days, but slightly it has been consolidating a tad bit now. So, what do you make of the charts, and what suggestion do you have for Mr. Gopal there?
See, when you say a short-term trade, then there's no way that you are wanting to average also, because dollar cost averaging, even if you're doing in good stocks, it's a slightly medium to long-term strategy. You can't start averaging a short-term trade. A short-term trade is a clear target and a stop loss. And when he's talking about 1 to 2 months. So averaging is definitely a strict no-no here. Good news for him is that the stock has stabilized around the long-term 200-day markers. Last 4-5 days, it has held it nicely. Those levels are around 1050, 1060. So as long as you're holding that 1050 mark, I think he still has potentially a chance to maybe break even and make 20, 30 points here. So I would say that within the short term, you should not look for targets beyond 1170, 1180. And on the downside, you should be looking at 1050 as a stop loss / exit.
Okay.
So you have to keep a stop below 1050. So you keep it around 1048. Never keep a stop loss on a round figure.
Never keep a stop loss on a round figure is the lesson learned. We have Siddharth now on the phone line from Guntur. Hi Siddharth, good evening.
Good evening. A query regarding Techno Electric Engineering. What are the entry levels? I want to stay invested in 3 to 5 years. It is in power sector and also data center. Recently, I read about management commentary and the con call. So I am bullish in long term. Should I stay invested, or what are the fresh entry levels?
Siddharth, I'm actually having a bit of trouble listening to you because your audio is not very coherent, but I have your query, so I'll try and help you out. Siddharth from Guntur Experts wants to know whether this is the right time to enter Techno Electric Engineering, and the stock is trading around 1,467 rupees a piece, and it did see cuts of about 2.3% in trade today. Dinesh, I'll take this one to you. Although the price, the stock price has been recovering since April of 2025 from the sharp downfall that it saw in December of 2024, how does the fundamentals of the stock look like as compared to its peers, and would you suggest Siddharth to enter?
I don't see issue in holding or entering because if he has 3 to 5 years of view. Why? Because I'm saying is the order book is very strong. So if I compare with 11,000 order book and almost 2,003 crores of top line, so medium to medium term at least, or medium to long term, the visibility in terms of top line is also there. And if I check the margins of 15%, it is holding. In fact, they are trying to increase it to in the levels of 16. Plus overall. Investor holding in this counter is very also strong. I meant domestic institutional investors. It is very strong. So I think this is a stable, and if these guys are executing it very strongly in quarter to quarter, and margins of 15 to 16% is intact, I don't see it any problem to hold it or maybe fresh enter. But I would say that if one want to say enter now, maybe start in bits and pieces for now 15 to 20% they can enter. Maybe after quarter first and results they can accumulate it for maybe 25% more.
Okay, thank you so much Dinesh for that. We are joined by Ranjit on the phone line from Bhubaneswar now. Hi Ranjit, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, how can I help you?
This is Ranjit from Bhubaneswar. Actually my query is on Akums Pharma.
Okay.
I bought this at level of 580 of 250 shares.
Okay.
Now the price is approximately 10% down. So can I add this at this point of time?
Okay.
Can I double? Like I want to invest 3 more lakhs in this contract.
Okay.
Yeah, my duration is for long term.
Okay.
I just want to know the visibility of the CDMO business in the coming 4 years. This is what my query is.
Okay, understood Ranjit. Thank you so much for that. And Dinesh, I'd like to come to you. since Ranjit has been holding 250 shares of Akums Drugs, and he has a corpus also of 3 lakh rupees that he wishes to invest now. So firstly, is it advisable? Secondly, what's your holistic view on Akums Drugs and especially in the pharma sector? How well is it positioned with compared to its peers? Because if I look at the valuations also, it's pretty decent if I compare it with its peers. So what's your sense on Akums Drugs?
A mixed view, I can say. Why? Because clearly based on the margins of this recent quarter, but of course, overall the segment of particularly CDMO, I can say is these guys are doing very well, and it is expected to continue. If I'll talk about the guidance, I think management has said that losses to half in FY26, break-even not expected before 27. So clearly it will take some time, maybe after 27, 28. Clearly it is a 3 to 5 years of time frame I can see, because management clearly is saying that it will take some time. I think so. If I talk about their balance sheet is pretty decent. I think they had almost more than 500 crores of borrowings. Now it is hardly long-term borrowings is nil. So this is a good development, I can say. But overall, it will really take some time. I think they can hold for 3 to 5 years. But I would suggest maybe if they want to switch to different companies in different sectors, that would be better. This particular counter, they can hold it for the overall portfolio, maybe 5 to 6% of overall portfolio.
And like you said that, you know, he can actually switch to some other counter. So are you having any recommendations there? Because like he said that he has a corpus of 3 lakh rupees that he wishes to invest in the pharma sector. And especially he was planning to, invest in Akums Drugs. But if that's not the case, so which counter he should be investing in?
So particularly in this segment only, I see a DV slab is one of the good place for longer term, of course. Since we follow a bottom-up approach, I have some different companies in consumption as well. I can see a good, maybe a good growth in Affle 3I Limited is one of the good companies for longer term. Along with that, Titan is also a good play. And in apparels, if they want to good search for a good company, Pearl Global Industries is one of the good companies they can study further.
All right, and now we have Rahul joining us on the phone line from Jaipur. Hi Rahul, good evening, namaste. How can we help you?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
I have 3,900 share of Brainbees Solutions, the price of 400, ma'am.
Okay.
I had bought, ma'am, 6 months ago. So
Okay.
I want to know, ma'am, should I add more or should I loss book, ma'am?
Sure, let's help you. Experts, Rahul from Jaipur currently holds 3,900 shares of Brainbees Solutions that goes famously by the name of First Cry at 400 rupees a piece. The stock is trading around 348 and the stock has been consolidating for quite some time. In fact, since the time Rahul bought them. And, Dinesh, taking this question to you first, although the loss widened in Q4, but the company did come out and say that it's perhaps could recover on the retail offline growth at least. What's your sense on this particular counter, and would you suggest Rahul to continue holding his 3,900 shares?
So I would say let's wait for EPS to show. See, it is clear that if there is no earnings growth, I think we don't check that particular counters. Yes, we do clearly check whether on a quarter to quarter basis what they are saying is whether they are doing it or not, and EPS growth is there or not. So for now, I would not suggest to enter only after maybe 1 to 2 quarters. If they are saying that PAT is there and EPS is there, only they can consider this segment.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now we are joined by Mr. Kaushik from Hyderabad on the phone line. Hi Kaushik, good evening.
Hi everyone.
Thanks for please go ahead with the query.
Yeah, so I hold HAL shares, 30 shares of HAL worth 3597.
Okay.
So I would like to know, also today I have seen a 1.9% of deep volatility today. And I have heard news that HL is no more going to be a monopoly regarding AMC, and there might be private players as well from Tata, Adani and L&T. So I'd like to know the future of this.
Okay, firstly, I'd like to know, Mr. Kaushik, that are you a short-term investor or a long-term investor?
I want to book my profits as per the situation.
Okay.
I want to.
So are you
I
a
want to know
short?
if it's going to be more volatility. So I'll book the profits later. If it's going to increase in the future or the coming days, I'll hold it.
Okay. So, Sarvendra, I'd like to direct this question to you. He bought it at 3,597 levels. Currently, it's trading at 4,902. He has made some profits there. So, do you advise him to book his profits at this particular level? Since the stock, I can see that it's coming down. And do you see it falling a bit further, or are you seeing any sort of, positive momentum in the counter on the charts?
See, from his voice, I can easily see that he wants to book profit. He just wants a revalidation from us that should I book profit or should I not? I think profits are always good if you book them and take them home, because you don't want to leave them in the book itself. Bookish profits are of no use. And the stock had previously fallen till I think the 3,200 mark. I think last we went around around the 3,000 mark is where the stock fell last time. So it's been a fantastic recovery from there. He's making more than, I think, 30-35%, I think, is what he's making right now. I think he should be booking out, he should be selling 2/3 of the quantity approximately, and then 1/3 almost will be free for him. So I would advise him to take out his capital from there, book 2/3, take out your capital, and remaining 1/3 of the quantity remains free for him. The stock is good, so eventually it might perform. But right now, I think it's good to book profits. It's slightly overbought. One round of more correction towards 4,000, 3,800 is not ruled out. So I am just making his job easier. He's already made up his mind. Book profits, 2/3.
Okay. So it's a go ahead on booking profits. We have another query that we'll take very quickly. Mahesh has written to us from Chennai. He holds 500 shares of Suzlon at 70 rupees a piece and is seeking a short-term advice in this one. So therefore, taking this back to you, Sarvendra, what would your advice to Mahesh be?
Suzlon, right? If I heard it right. I think I lost the voice here.
Sarvendra, Mahesh holds 500 shares of Suzlon Energy at 70 rupees a piece, and he's seeking a short-term advice on this one.
I think within the short term, he's already got the short-term top. He's bought the top here, and by short term again, it's already 20 days from that top. I would advise him to sell and exit on the bounce, because within the short term, there's not much risk reward left. He's bought 70. I can see max targets in the region of 70 to 75. So within the bounds, I think whatever he gets for the next 15-20 working days, he should get out of this counter.
All right. And on that note, Sarvendra Srivastav and Dinesh Sane, thank you so much for joining this edition of Ask Profit and answering all the queries of our viewers with such patience. And viewers, a quick note to you, you can keep these numbers handy as we're live with Ask Profit both in the morning as well as in the evening. But now we have Sanjana Chauhan joining us at the moment to tell us what exactly the next bulletin will entail. So Sanjana, over to you.
Thanks so much. We're going to be covering, of course, the issue that is on everybody's mind after the tragic crash that took place on June 12th with Air India. If you both remember, we saw 270 people unfortunately pass away and lose their lives. But now we've seen an issue coming in from the Civil Aviation Ministry about the black box, saying that both the black boxes that have been recovered from the air crash and are with the Civil Aviation Ministry, and have also requested that there is no speculation about it. We'll be covering that and a lot more on the other side of this very short break. I'll see you on Profit 360.
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and